I am charged tonight with introducing somebody who is truly a treasure of the University of Chicago. He is a graduate of the college, the class of 1992, and also a recent MBA from the class of '08. He started his career at the university, I just found out moments ago, as an RA. He then went on to manage the university theater for 4 years. And of course, I'm talking about Bill Michael, who is now serving as the executive director of the Logan Center for Performing Arts. Bill took that job after serving as assistant vice president in the dean of students' office for 6 years or 8 years? Oh, no longer than that. Many years. Let's just say many, many years. And that is truly a 24/7 job, which Bill did an incredible amount of work and really helped Dean Boyer change the undergraduate student culture in a way that we are now reaping the rewards of. And it really is a wonderful progression to see Bill move into this new role as Chicago, finally, after Leela mentioned, is really tackling putting together the crown jewel of arts at Chicago. I can think of no one better than Bill to lead this effort. So Bill, thank you, and it's all yours.
Well, I want to start by first echoing our thanks to Rena Branston and the gallery for allowing us to be in this wonderful space and to celebrate the arts in San Francisco and at the University of Chicago here, and to really also thank. I've been warned I cannot do too much walking around up here, but as a theater person, I have to walk around a little bit. Also, really thank Leela D'Souza Branston for her wonderful remarks and for really spearheading this event tonight and helping us come together in such a wonderful way. I hope, as she said, after we spend a little time sharing with you what we're thinking about in the arts at the university and spend some time talking together as a group, that you will leave assured that as the university both builds on a great tradition in the arts and moves forward, it is still this wonderful institution that teaches our students how to think, that creates the kind of critical capacity that, in fact, I argue the arts need, and that bringing together the kind of intellectual power of the university with a tradition that has existed for a long time in the arts, but that we are moving forward in new and dynamic ways, is going to create even a new approach. I won't say a completely distinctive approach, but a relatively distinctive approach to the arts in a way that will be uniquely Chicago and uniquely to the university, but impact the arts in a wonderful way. It's great to be here today. We are currently celebrating 60 Days of Art at the University of Chicago. We, in early April, launched 60 Days by having Tony Kushner on campus talking to students and faculty and working with some of our students in a reading of one of his productions and engaging with some of our faculty, including Phil Gossett, on some of the operas he's written over time, but really engaging in a set of Chicago-style conversations that were really wonderful. But the 60 Days is also about the fact that the arts already take place all over campus. And it's not as if we planned a bunch of arts events to be part of 60 Days, but instead, what we did is looked across campus and looked at a set of dynamic programs that were already happening to create a really wonderful set of programs and celebrate the arts that will continue through reunion. And those of you that come back to campus for reunion this year, I hope you'll join us in celebrating the arts then as well. The arts at the university really built, as Leela said, on a really wonderful tradition. And this is actually William Rainey Harper playing his cornet in the band when he formed the band in the university. And when I agreed to take this job, one of the great things that happened is that John Boyer decided to write this wonderful paper on the history of the arts. And I firmly believe that there are a set of things you need to have successful new initiatives in the university, and one of them is for John Boyer to write a paper on the history of the arts. So I encourage you. He did a great one on the history of housing and also on the core curriculum. I absolutely encourage you, if you get a chance, to flip through that. But it celebrates the fact that the arts have been a part of the life of the university since it started. And what we are doing with the Logan Center and what we're doing with this new focus on the arts across the institution is building on a tradition and expanding it in new ways. Right now, when you think about the arts at the university, you start with an incredible set of academic programs, many that are only known, as is often the case at Chicago, in the halls of the Academy. But we have one of the best cinema and media studies programs in the country. Our music department composition program and music theory program is in fact ranked in the top in the country, if not the world. We have really incredible art history program and a burgeoning and growing program. We actually offer MFAs in the visual arts and a new and growing program in theater and performance studies. But all of these are programs that are rooted in the intellectual life of the university. We have no interest in, there are many wonderful places that have created conservatories, that have created separate art schools that are distinct from the rest of the life of the university, and for some students and some faculty, that's the perfect place to be. That is not who we are at Chicago. And what we're interested in is creating an intellectual environment that cuts across the entire institution and where the arts permeate the entire campus. We have a wonderful set of professional arts organizations. And as we're sitting here in this wonderful gallery, I think of wonderful galleries like the Renaissance Society, which brings some of the most cutting-edge contemporary art to campus, the Smart Museum of Art, our own Court Theater, University of Chicago Presents, all bringing really high-quality music, theater, film, and visual art to campus in really dynamic ways. But the other great thing about the arts at the university is they really come from our students. And in a minute, I'm going to let someone else tell you about that. But we have over 70 student organizations focused on the arts on campus. Over 500 students engaged in theater. Every day I turn around, a new dance group and a new a cappella group appear. And one of the great things about the arts, and these are organizations that both have students in them who arrive as dancers, who may continue to pursue a career in the arts or move on to something else, plan to pursue a career in the visual arts, or are wonderful physicists who also happen to be great violinists, or incredible students who think about political science and happen to be writing plays. As I remember, when I was just graduating, a set of students, one a political scientist, one a divinity interested in religion, and the other studied Italian, wrote a wonderful music based on Dante's Inferno. Probably only that can happen at the University of Chicago. And finally, as we think about the life of the university and the arts, the fact that we are in Hyde Park and that we partner with such incredible community arts organizations and on the south side of Chicago becomes a really important part of who we are and where we want to be. But to give you a better sense of the arts today, it is my distinct pleasure, and we're thrilled to have join us. She flew in from campus today, I think only missing one class because she's spending a lot of time in the studio right now. Eleni Chapin, who is a fourth year in the college studying visual arts from Pennsylvania, and she's here to tell you a bit about her experience as a student and an artist, and even share with you a little of her work. Eleni?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for, Bill, especially for inviting me here to speak to you today. I feel very honored and privileged to meet all of you and to talk to all of you. So I'll show my work in a bit, but I just want to mirror Bill's sentiments on the university that it is really a very interdisciplinary program, and that when I first came to the university from Pennsylvania, I always had a lifelong passion of art and visual art, and I figured, I'll go to college and I'll grow up and do something else. But I realized that when I came here that my passion in art and my passion for critical thinking and critical discourse are absolutely compatible with each other, and they influence each other in many ways that are kind of hard to describe, but I think it's been a very fruitful time here, my time here at the university. I'm actually graduating this June, so it's a good time to reflect on everything I've done. Like Bill said, the structure of the visual arts program here at the university is very interdisciplinary and kind of unlike what you think of more traditional art schools, where there's a very set curricula of medium-specific routes, like you either go into painting or you go into photography, you go into sculpture. At the U of C, everything is fair game. I do a variety of mixed media works, simple media works, but university gives you a very free reign to do what you want. But with that freedom comes a lot of responsibility to put a very strong conceptual rigor to your art. So it's not just about making beautiful images. It's about exploring systems of meaning and how those systems of meaning can converge in artful ways. And I think the university, even though technically the structure is very loose, it forces you to create your own structure. And once you have that structure and you understand your own method of creation, I think it gives you a very strong basis and conceptual core to do your art in the outside world. And I think that's a very good skill for an artist to have, is to have a very strong understanding of how they work, what their conceptual standards are, how they think about their work. And I definitely think the university, in all its capacities, has made me an artist like that. So without further ado, I'd like to show you a short video piece. The video piece is called Self-Help. It's a text-based piece. It's really influenced from the work. I'm very influenced by the work of the artist Bruce Nauman, who plays a lot with language. And so I was in the Regenstein library one day, and I was researching a book, and I found this list of books in the Regenstein that all start with the titles "you" and "your." And a lot of them are like self-help books, but I decided to decontextualize the titles of these books and leave them in alphabetical order as I found them in the Regenstein and put them into a video piece. So Bill will start that now. And it goes by kind of fast, so just to warn you. So this is a piece that kind of loops. It doesn't have a very definite time span. I can show as little or as much as you want, but I think this is a really good example of the kind of work that I've been investigating at the university, work that really digs into the meanings of language and the kind of participation or what I ask of the viewer to get out of the work. It's more, the technical process is rather simple. It's just text, but I think it speaks a lot to elements outside of art and elements within art that I think are important and things that the university has really forced me to concentrate on. One of the ways that, well, first of all, I just want to explain that this is kind of like I kind of consider this piece as like a piece of found poetry. The systems that I saw within this text, they go from certain children of a certain age. He'll say you and your child, you and your mid-adolescent, you and your parents. So I thought all those interweavings of poetry within found text was really intriguing, and it goes back to trying to discover these systems of meaning that, if you think of them as like planes, they kind of converge in certain interesting ways, and that to me I think is where really interesting art can happen. And it's not everybody's system of doing art, but it's particularly my system, and I don't really work I work in video sometimes, but I try to apply this system that I've gained into all different kinds of media. And so a couple ways that the larger university has kind of influenced my work, especially in this work particularly. I'm a projectionist at Doc Films, and I've been a projectionist ever since my first quarter at the university. And Doc Films has just been absolutely wonderful. It's been an education unto itself. And I can't really explain why I love it so much. I just love handling the actual substance of the film and realizing that these beautiful films that we're watching are things that are not permanent, that can waste away and that can degrade the more you watch them. And I think in our digital age, it's kind of important to remember that, and as it's important as an artist to realize the kind of impermanence of certain media that we have. And I think this piece in particular speaks to questions of frame rates and the speed of information that is projected at you. And I think that's something I definitely learned being a projectionist at Doc Films. And so I think it would be my dream job to be a projectionist after school. It's a very nepotistic realm. You got to know people to do it. They're mostly like old men, but I think it'd be awesome to continue doing it. Another way that the university has kind of had this interdisciplinary approach on me is through a class that I took with Theester Gates. You may know him. He's an artist at the university. He lives on the South Side. He's very engaged with the community of the South Side of Chicago. And last spring, I took a class from him called Intervention in Public Practice. And if I had to pick one class at the university, I mean, they're all wonderful, I'm going to say, but I would say hands down the best class I ever took at the university is an art class. And this was Theester Gates' class because it made me question not only the art world, but it made me question basic human interactions and how humans interact with each other in social situations and kind of the political shield that can sometimes separate me from neighborhood people. And being from a rural area myself, I'm from a small town in central PA, this class really made me understand the workings of an urban setting and what it means to live in an urban setting in ways that were more than just strictly pedagogical. And I think I learned through this art class, through making art that engaged the community more, and just from talking with Theester, how to really engage with people, not in a pedagogical way as we can sometimes really wish to do, but through basic friendship and through individual means. And I don't know, it was just a wonderful class to have. And if you ever have an opportunity to talk to Theester, he's a professor there, I really appreciate it. I think you would really like it. Another way that the university has, the larger university has influenced my art practice is I got to study abroad last fall in Paris. And as you may know, the university has a whole center in Paris. And I went there, and I always had this romantic notion that Paris was kind of the center of the art world. I think I can stop this now. Sorry. That Paris was kind of the center of the arts and a very creative community. And I kind of had this very Francophile, romantic notion of Paris and what it was going to be like. And I'd never really been out of the country before. So when I went, I realized Paris is they got the same problems as everywhere else in the world. And actually going there, I realized that I didn't really like the kind of art I was seeing in Paris. I thought it was beautiful and everything, but I thought that the most exciting and invigorating art that I was looking at in Paris actually came from the banlieue, and where a lot of marginalized people of the city live, like North African people and people from West Africa. And it got me really interested in race relations in the city of Paris and how they differ from race relations in Chicago. And I think that experience really it made me not only love Paris in a different way, but I think it made me love the city of Chicago in a different way, and it made me really appreciate the art of the everyday that I see in an urban setting. And that was another way that Chicago, the university at large, has incorporated my art practice. And the final thing I want to say is that I'm so excited for the Logan Art Center. I think it's just a great, I think it's going to fill such a great void at the university. Because even though we had a visual arts program, it's been small, and the technical resources that we had weren't very large, but it was very strong. And I really think the university has the potential to be this killer combo of conceptual rigor and strong physical practice, that I think those two systems of working really need to be concurrent with each other, and you need to have a strong making sensibility and also a strong conceptual sensibility if you want to make art that is of good quality and is relevant today. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Eleni. We'll have her back up to answer questions in a second. So let's talk about the killer combo. The killer combo, as we think about why the university is in a position to really think about the arts and engage in the arts in the way that Eleni just talked about, is first, as I've said, it permeates across the campus. It brings together the kinds of experience she just shared with you, and we are not trying to create something that doesn't recognize the real power of the intellectual strength of the university. And it's intellectual strength that happens in every division, in every department. One of the new initiatives we just announced was a new initiative in art and science, really bringing together scientists and artists who think about problems in really interesting ways, and to encourage a dialogue there that can happen at a university like Chicago with its national labs. But the arts take place across the campus in dynamic ways. The other thing that we've really started to do is leverage the interest of our faculty, both those that are pure scholars and those that are both artists and scholars, to work with visiting artists and bring in a really dynamic set of folks. I mentioned people like Tony Kushner, but we recently had Kara Walker on campus, a wonderful visual artist. And one of the things she said, and she visits lots of campuses, is that she loved coming to Chicago because although she loved her conversations with visual artists, she spent more time talking to political scientists, talking to historians, and engaging with the entire intellectual life of the university. Leon Fleischer, a wonderful musician and pianist, when he was in Chicago, suffers from a neurological disease and spent a lot of time with our medical students and our faculty in biology, talking about how he has become the world-class pianist that he is at the age of 80 plus, and worked through this disease in a way that ensures that the arts cut across and really impact the entire university. The other thing, the second thing that we really think about when we think about our role in Chicago is the fact that the University of Chicago is located in this incredible city. Much like the benefits that all of the great universities that are in this area, being in San Francisco and Oakland and Berkeley, the fact that we are in a city where the arts are really taking shape, that we can interact with the city both in the way that was talked about with Theastra's class, and I will admit it was a great class, and we'll ignore the phone call we got from the alderman when he went out and did a performance piece on the Midway that was against a bunch of developers, but it's Chicago. But in a way that we can really take advantage of. And we do it in a variety of ways. Our students and our faculty are passionate about thinking about problems of art and education in the K through 12 area. They're engaged, whether it's in theater or visual arts or music, working with public school children and charter schools to really think about what it means to engage in art and education. As we think about the future of the Logan Center and the arts at the university, we want to do even more in this area. In fact, while we're sitting here, our students are working with youth in the neighborhood right now on completing a set of 3 murals that will hang representing the interaction of the arts in the community and will hang around the Logan Center on the construction fencing, because if you're going to build an arts building, you might as well put art around it, but that are created with the ideas that were shared from both elementary school and high school children in Woodlawn, our students, and then working together with a wonderful community arts organization called Little Black Pearl. We think about the opportunity to be in a city like Chicago for the opportunities that gives our students to develop their postgraduate success. The film industry may be hard to break into, but if we can create the kind of internships and opportunities for our students to work with wonderful organizations, not only in Chicago, but around the country, and think about supporting students through a new program in Chicago Careers in the Arts, which we're launching in the fall, but giving them the opportunity to really work with and engage with the life of a city. And lastly, just last week, we announced the UChicago Arts Pass program. The UChicago Arts Pass program, and I will admit, we believe in stealing good ideas. This is something Columbia University did very well. But right now, as you know, in the economic climate, museums are getting more and more expensive. Theaters are charging more and more. And as of last week, all University of Chicago students, graduate, undergraduate, could use their ID to get in free to the Art Institute of Chicago, free to the MCA, discounted tickets and discounted dance classes across the city, free tickets to the Lyric Opera, but also close to home to become student members of our own Smart Museum or the Renaissance Society in ways that we think are really going to encourage our students to engage with the arts in new and dynamic ways. It's a new program. It's still building every day, but we're really excited about the opportunity that presents for our students. The Logan Center, which on the one hand is, in my biased opinion, a fabulous building, on the other hand is designed to represent all of this. It is 170,000 square feet, $114 million building that even in these economic times is going forward one of three buildings that we didn't slow down, one being a library, this is the University of Chicago, the other being a science building. But the Logan Center represents an incredible investment and commitment to all we are talking about. It is not the center of the arts at the university. The arts are going to continue to take place across campus. But it is a center that is encouraging interaction, encouraging the kind of interaction that Eleni talked about across different medium, and encouraging interaction with the community. This is a view from the Midway. For those of you that have not been on campus recently, we've just built a wonderful new residence hall behind Burton Judson. We have 1,300 undergraduate students now living south of the Midway, and hundreds of graduate students, and more members of our faculty and staff living with a really dynamic community in Woodlawn. And it's really changed the way campus feels south of campus, and this new building will continue to do that. It is designed by Todd Williams and Billy Chen. If you've been to Berkeley's campus, and you've been to the East Asian Library that opened a few years ago, they've designed that building. It's a very Todd and Billy building, and just today they were announced as one of three architects that are being considered for the new Berkeley Art Museum building. And I know there are a couple board members here, so I will try to do them justice as we go through this. It has both a tower and a podium element that brings in wonderful north light through a set of skylights. That tower is really meant to be a beacon to attract people to the arts. As I said, it is located south of the Midway, next to Midway Studios. Midway Studios was, of course, the home of Laredo Taft's work and studio. He created the Statue of Time at the end of Midway, and it ties us to the history of the arts on the south side. He also was quoted as saying in the late 1800s that he thought his artists needed to listen to the musicians of the university, and so he often invited them over to Midway Studios to play because I thought that was an important part of their development. So we like to say that even he knew that bringing the arts together on this site made sense. The tower includes a series of spaces, including using this wonderful indoor-outdoor space at the top, and allows us to serve a beacon. But we not only think of the north entrance, but also the south entrance. We don't talk about this as a center having a front and a back, but instead a north and a south, opening both to the campus and to the community in ways that, to be frank, the university has not always done or thought about. This is the view from the south, looking into the entrance to the performance areas. The Logan Arts Center will be a new home for about 90% of the Department of Visual Arts. It'll be a new home for about 90% of university theater and performance studies, which includes a variety of dance programs. And it will add new space for music that will augment existing space, new space for cinema and media studies and the visual arts, and work really closely with wonderful programs like creative writing and many of our professional arts organizations, and certainly our community partners. At the top of the tower, there will be an outdoor deck The tower is 11 stories tall and will, we hope, attract from all sides, and will include in it, in the lowest level, a digital media center, including film production spaces and editing labs and music editing labs. And as you head up the tower, on the first floor there is a cafe. On the second floor, a really wonderful state-of-the-art film screening room. And then once you get into the tower, we start to really mix things up. On a single floor, you might have a visual arts classroom and a series of music practice rooms. On the next floor, a really wonderful dance studio and a series of other music practice rooms. And so we bring all of that together to allow students to engage in really wonderful ways. A lot of this is about creating art and learning to create art, but scholarship is still a really important piece of what we are doing. This room with its giant glass walls, the architects believe they're going to be open most of the time. Those of you that have been to Chicago recently know the glass will be closed some months of the year. But this is going to be the most incredible seminar room on campus, with great views of the city, with both wonderful indoor-outdoor feel, and our undergraduates will engage in the kind of seminars that Chicago is famous for, as will our graduate students with our faculty. At the top of the tower is what we currently call the Performance Penthouse. Imagine a space that by day is a wonderful place to take music classes. During the week, by night, is a really incredible place to rehearse if you're a musician. And then in the evenings is a really incredible place on the weekends for a jazz cabaret or a poetry reading, or off campus the improv group to perform with great views of the city. The Podium, with its incredible north light, includes, with its entrance off the Midway, includes a series of things, including a 2,000 square foot visual arts gallery and video gallery. This is the lobby coming in right off of the Midway. The cafe is off to the side over here. It includes classrooms for the visual arts, shops, and this is an example of what we are trying to do. So we're going to buy enough tools so they aren't fighting all the time, but our students will share tools here and then build sets over here and work on sculpture over here. Our goal is that the sculptor might see a student building a set and start working with those students. They might start to share ideas, and you also get a sense of the way that light comes in from the wonderful skylights above. The gallery, the first floor also leads down into a really important and wonderful digital media area and 10 new practice rooms in the lower level. We will have 20 total new practice rooms of various sizes in here for music, which doubles the number of practice rooms we have on campus. It then leads to a really incredible courtyard that will both be a great place to relax, but will also be a wonderful place for performance, with a bridge that will be a way to connect from the third level on both sides, and also a place to hang lights when we're doing summer performance. The southern lobby, the Gidwitz lobby, opens on to a 450-seat performance hall, which is going to be a spectacular music and dance space, and also a really wonderful film space. It is, in fact, we think, going to be the best place to see silent film with musical accompaniment in the city. We have a 150-seat black box theater, a 100-seat proscenium-like theater, and a series of faculty offices and all of the dressing rooms and lobbies. And I end with the shot of the Performance Penthouse. With a view of Chicago, I will admit we have incredible architects from New York. So when this picture first arrived on my desk, it had a great shot of the New York skyline. And I said, no. And I can't promise that the Sears Tower is going to be that clear. I can promise the lake will be that clear. And I hope either on May 12th, if you find yourself in Chicago, you will join us for what I promise will be the most exciting groundbreaking that the university has ever done, because it's put on by artists, which you can also watch on the internet. At Reunion this year or in future years, you'll come to celebrate the arts, and certainly in spring of 2012, when this building opens, you will join us to celebrate the way the arts are moving forward in new and dynamic ways. So with that, let's open it up for discussion and questions. Eleni, do you want to come up here so that we can all take questions? Comments, thoughts, questions?
I just want to say that I am so jealous that I am not going to be an undergraduate in 5 years' time to have this. I mean, Midway Studios, for all its history and its charm, it's just, I look at these pictures and my mouth waters. It's really exciting.
Yep.
Do you have to, enhance the faculty or the, building space?
Well, the space will be filled the days the doors open in a really wonderful way. The question was, do you have to enhance the faculty to fill up the space? The good news, so the short answer is yes, we're going to do some faculty enhancement. But the Logan Center and the kind of spaces we're creating really grow out of an energy in the arts that's been growing over the last 15, 20 years. And so we've got a number of faculty who've joined the faculty who are really interested in this intersection of creation, performance, and scholarship in ways that some of their predecessors were not. And so there are already a variety of faculty that are very excited of the opportunities that this building holds. Theater and Performance Studies is one of our newer programs that has been growing with a combination of really wonderful faculty like David Levine, who is a wonderful German scholar who happens to study opera and be a terrific dramaturg as well, to incredible visiting lecturers from the city of Chicago who are themselves great teachers and great artists. And so we will continue to work to enhance the faculty. The university, as it's talked about the various initiatives that it's moving forward, one we've just announced is an effort to add 25 new faculty to the university through faculty enhancement. As I often say when giving a different version of this presentation to alumni, one of the few benefits of having a smaller endowment than your peers, we used to come talk to groups like this and complain our endowment needed to be bigger, and it still does. But while we all took a hit, we are in a better institutionally financial position than some of our peers, so it is a great time to be hiring faculty. And we're excited about doing some incremental expansion to support a variety of university initiatives, including this one. Paul?
You talked about the interface of this with the community of the South. To what degree is the Woodlawn community involved in thinking about this or thinking about the programs that are going to be part of this center?
We are working closely with a variety of community groups and the aldermen. There are a couple of initiatives happening at the university right now. As you may be aware, there's a wonderful educational initiative called the Harlem Children's Promise Zone in New York that the Obama administration is working to move forward. We are working very closely with several leaders in the Woodlawn community, with them in the lead, us in a support position to work to create a Woodlawn Children's Promise Zone, and thinking about how arts and education fits into that as a piece of this. Whenever I talk about this building, particularly when I'm out talking to community, I want to draw a distinction between time periods. During the academic year, this is a building that is going to be filled with the work of our faculty and our students, often working in partnership with community and doing the kind of art and education programs we've talked about. During the summer, when our students are engaged in art throughout the city, the world, the country, it will provide us lots of opportunities to invite some of the community arts groups in. Those conversations are really just starting now, and we have to balance them because this is not a community arts center, and we have to be careful not to present it that way. But we're working very hard to think about how this and a variety of other things we're doing fit into creating that kind of support. And so, again, the Logan Center is only a piece of our art strategy. We talk about arts in public life as a broader umbrella for a lot of what we're doing in the arts. So we're doing a lot of work right now to think about creating new art spaces on 53rd Street in Washington Park. But that mural project I mentioned and the experience of working with the schools, and we, to be frank, went to the alderman and said, who do you want us to work with? And talked to many of our other community partners, has started to create relationships that I think will go forward. The last thing, and this is about thinking about how you bring the arts together. Right now, we have a variety of terrific art and education programs. The Smart Museum has a wonderful program, Court Theater, University Theater. Music has had them in the past. And we are using the opportunities presented by the Logan Center to bring everyone that does art and education across the university together. It's hard to believe, but this hasn't happened before. And they've all been working in their own silos and thinking about really significant questions like, are we better having our arts and education spread across the city as it is now, or should we focus it on a particular community, and what would that mean about changing the face of art education in that community? We're grappling with those questions now, and we will have some form of answers by spring of 2012 when we open.
I'm delighted to hear that this is in existence. I'm really warmed by art to see that this is brought up in one big roof and a roof so high to be a beacon on the southern landscape. I love the idea of the arts pass and the notion of making the professional venues more accessible to the chronically underpaid and under scholarship students.
We're working on that too, but yes.
I can very well see that for students like the one you probably do today, that this would be a tremendous resource. What I'm also interested in as a school that does promote itself as ideas first and before practice, and certainly less formally about the arts as a fine arts or performing arts school. I'm interested in what programs you have in mind that will bring professionalism into the campus as an inspiration for those who didn't raise their hand up front as being interested in the arts. Are there relationships with the Symphony, the Art Institute, the Goodman Theater, anything that will bring the arts onto campus, perhaps in a collaborative or internship sort of way, to let even the physicists, even the economists see the beauty and benefit of the arts?
Absolutely. So the question was, what more can we do to utilize the professional resources of the city to inspire the physicist and the economist to love the arts at the university, to paraphrase very simply. And one of the great things about the arts at Chicago, and in fact, I am a product of this, so I came to study politics, economics, rhetoric, and law, and left director of a theater. But I chose Chicago many years ago because while I thought I wanted to be a lawyer, a fine profession, I also wanted to be able to fully engage in the life of the arts. And so all of these programs we've talked about are really about arts, not just for students who are going to pursue this as a career, though we want to continue to support that, but also for the physicist, the economist. In terms of inspiring students who are not yet fully engaged in the arts, at the college level, one of the areas we're working very closely with is the undergraduate house system. All undergraduates in their first year live in housing. We have a wonderfully staffed house system with student RAs and graduate student resident heads that do a number of trips. I will tell you the only complaint I've gotten about the Arts Pass is the non-student resident heads who are upset that they have to pay to get into the museums that their students can now get into for free. I'll work on that for next year. But in fact, we are planning and are launching in the fall a series of programs where we will pay a small amount of money to some graduate students and or encourage for free our faculty to take smaller groups of students to these institutions to go see a show or to go look at an exhibit and talk about it, have a meal together, and we will target those students who are not necessarily living and breathing the arts all the time. We currently have about 40 arts internships through our Metcalf internship program that benefit a wide variety of students. We want to see that number triple over the next several years. So there are lots of things that we are doing, and it's both about celebrating the existing professional arts organizations on campus, but looking for the kind of partnerships we're talking about. The other thing in the way we balance the faculty who teach on this campus is many of them have very strong professional lives in the city. Talked about Theaster. David Schutter, Schutter, our painting instructor, he and I were sitting down a few weeks ago, and he was telling me about the number of pre-med students that are taking his painting classes, both because they think it teaches them a skill, they'd like to be surgeons someday, but also because they're passionate about the arts. So we're committed to preserving both support for those students for whom the arts either become, once they arrive, or when they showed up, are what they're going to do for the rest of their life as a profession, as well as continuing to support the kind of energy that results in an alum who has a wonderful professional career but is now a composer on the side, and I can't wait to hear his music. So,
if I could comment on that question a second, I do agree with you that the arts on campus are not as explicit to the students as they would be on other campuses, but I really do feel that that has been addressed even in the 4 years that I've been there, and that I do see a lot of grassroots student initiative to bring more arts to campus and to get their art out into the greater community. I'm part of this new student organization called Art Should, which actually went into 4 elementary schools in the Southside area and gave after-school art programs to various students that come. There's Ray School, which is a very Hyde Park community, and there's also an elementary school, Kosminski, which serves kind of a lower income set of students. And just from that, I've seen the teachers that we get that are undergraduate students for these kids aren't only art students, they're math students, they're poli-sci students, but they have voiced a concern of like lack of art in their lives and something they want to share. So I really do think that the students are getting more and more motivated to participate in the arts just in the few years that I've been there. And there's also Festival of the Arts, which anybody can apply to. And I've seen some of the most stellar work I've seen come out of Festival of the Arts have been from science majors and math majors. So, yeah.
Other questions or comments?
Could you comment a little more fully on the, sounds wonderfully whole the connection between the different arts. What about the connections between creative writing and these arts specifically?
I'll be really direct and blunt. You make some mistakes periodically when you plan buildings like this, and I do believe that one of them is that we didn't, when we were making some choices early on, that we didn't fully integrate creative writing into this program. We are rectifying it, and creative writing is a wonderfully burgeoning program at the university, as you can imagine, and they will be a really important partner in this institution, in the Logan Center, and all we are doing. And it is my hope that over time, in fact, there will be some stronger spatial relationships, maybe not in this building, but very nearby. Can't say more than that. Probably don't want that on the web, but we'll edit that out later. Space on campus is a very complicated thing. But having said that, programmatically, the number of creative writing courses that are cross-listed with, say, theater and performance studies, or the kind of energy that now exists with what some would vernacularly call comic books, but we will all call graphic novels, and the interaction between the visual and the story and the creative writing is really burgeoning in wonderful ways. And so creative writing is becoming a full partner in this. In fact, at the groundbreaking, we're kicking the groundbreaking off with a series of arts events across campus, and our students and faculty will be reading some of their work as part of the groundbreaking festivities and ceremony. And absolutely, I didn't highlight every space in this building, but there are 3 shared classrooms, and the performance hall, and that film screening room will all have active creative writing classes, programs, and lectures in them as well. But what's most importantly, what's happened is that the faculty engaged in creative writing, whether it be poetry or the novel, are coming together and working very closely with the faculty in all of these other art programs. And one of the side benefits of this whole building process and getting a bunch of faculty together to talk about this building and the program that's happening within it is that it is really encouraging relationships that didn't exist before, and we're seeing the benefits already. And the number of cross-listed courses is going through the roof. And meaningfully cross-listed. They're being planned by faculty from both areas in ways that are really wonderful. I'm sorry, the question was how will creative writing be more integrated into all of this? Apologize for not repeating it first. Paul?
So as a father of a recent college graduate, I'm interested from a student perspective. So what do you do next after graduating from Chicago with a degree in creative arts? Do you have a job?
That's a very good question. A question my parents would really like to see answered. No, I mean, I've got some irons in the fire. I think Chicago has a really great tradition of people in arts administration. So people with an arts background that also have varied talents. I've seen a lot of people A lot of my friends personally go to work at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, be docents, be museum administrators, work in galleries. Me personally, I really want to try to find a way to keep a consistent art practice. So I have some salary jobs lined up, but I think it's more and more likely I might be doing something like tending bar or something, a 9-to-5 job. But I don't consider that a concession. I just think it's just something I personally want to do, and before I go and get my MFA eventually, which I plan to do. So, yeah, I think that our students with a history in the arts have are very highly regarded in the museum world. So I think there are opportunities out there for people. I applied to the Cincinnati Foundation, which is the artist Donald Judd's foundation in Marfa, Texas, and I'm expecting to hear back from them soon. It's a 3-month internship, but yeah.
We were fortunate this year to get a gift from a friend of the university, actually, through the Eddie's Foundation. And so for the first time, we've launched a post-bac fellowship. I will admit it's only one, but a faculty committee right now is selecting one recent graduate who's either graduating this year or has been out since before 2007, graduated, 2007 or later, to receive a $30,000 fellowship to work on their art for 1 year. Now, obviously, that will only impact one student. Similarly, I spent part of my day today with one of these wonderful alumni working in galleries, trying to convince her to take some internships so that our students get more of those kinds of experiences. And we are very committed as we continue to attract more students for whom the arts become their lifelong passion as a career to do even more in this area. And it's a major area where we need growth. I was doing one of these events in New York a few weeks ago, and one of the great things that came out of that after many of the young alumni who are artists who complained that we don't quite have the network that some other institutions who've been in the arts sphere more publicly for a longer time quickly created a Facebook group called the New York Arts Mafia, and all started UFC New York Arts Mafia. And another piece of this is working hard to gather that kind of energy around our alumni. So I think with that, I will end. I'm going to end doing 3 things. First, one of the things I really love about the arts at the university is it builds on this great past, and it goes what I hope to be a wonderful future. And I mentioned this mural project, and I got a cover letter recently from a student who wants to work as a summer intern for me, who's in the college. And in reading her cover letter, I will admit she's trying to get me to hire her, all of those biases aside. I just read you one sentence from her cover letter. She was working on these murals with some 6th graders. And she wrote, I asked a couple of the 6th graders from Magic, which is a community organization we're partnering with, if they played music or performed. And one answered that he played saxophone. When I told him that maybe in the future, when he was a bit older, he might see the mural where we were working on while en route to play sax at the center, his face lit up. So part of what this center is about is looking to the future in a way that allows us to attract incredible students to benefit the community and to support the incredible scholarship of our faculty and students. The other thing is to let you know that we are celebrating these 60 days and that we are doing it to drive people to take a look at our website, arts.uchicago.edu. If what we've said to you is of interest, I invite you to visit that site. On your way out, grab the Arts Pass postcard, which just landed on my desk before leaving, that has the website address on it. But help us spread the word. I really do believe there are many wonderful universities and colleges engaged in the arts, and they are doing wonderful things. I firmly believe Chicago is going to be doing really wonderful things. And I would ask you, as you are out talking to the world, to please make sure they know that we're engaged in the arts. I invite you to check this website often to see what's happening. And if you get intrigued, you will notice as part of 60 days we are having faculty, alumni, and students write 200 words of what creativity means to them, and we have some slots in May. So if any of you are inspired to write 200 words, I'd love for you to send them in to us so that we can include them on that. Finally, we've talked about all the ways you can support us tonight, whether it's helping us plug into new internships for our students, and also the incredible financial support you all already provide to the institution. I want to thank you for what you've done in the past, for supporting what I firmly believe is one of the greatest, if not the greatest institution in the world, in my highly biased opinion. But also invite you to join us as we go forward in the future, not simply in spreading the great word, but if anything we've said has intrigued you, there are many opportunities to support this work in new and great ways, whether it's the building of this great building or supporting the incredible activity that's going to happen there or happen across campus in the arts in every corner. So thank you so much for coming. We look forward to continuing the conversation informally. Thank you so much for flying out and joining us. It's great to have you here. Thanks to our hosts. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you back on campus, if not before, in spring of 2012 when we open this building. Thanks.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Eleni. I've seen this a few times, and I have to tell you, every time I see it, I get more and more excited about the arts at Chicago. And it also reminds me, seeing these pictures, in 1955, Eero Saarinen, the architect, was hired by the university to draw up an entirely new campus plan to reimagine particularly the south side of campus and how the university could expand into that area. And of course, one of the results of his plan was the law school, which was just recently restored, and it looks fantastic. But he also imagined that the south side of campus would be as lively and as active as the rest of the campus. It took us about 50 years, but I think we're finally getting there. There's so much happening. The new dormitory that Bill mentioned, the beautifully restored law school. There are hopes and dreams on the table to expand the School of Social Service Administration, which has a wonderful Mies van der Rohe building that they would like to add on to. The building next door to the law school, which was originally the American Bar Association national headquarters, is now the home to our newest school, which is the Harris School of Public Policy. They would also like to expand. The business school would like to build a wonderful new living and learning facility for their students on the south side of campus. We've broken ground for the new McCormick Theological Seminary there. So the south side of campus, finally, after 50 years, is really booming. Ultimately, why I mention this is because I want you to come back to campus and see all that is happening. Reunion is the first weekend of July. It's July 3rd through the 6th. June. Don't come in July. Very quiet there. June is a great time to come. It will be a great weekend. We literally have thousands of alumni and parents that come back for this weekend. My favorite part of the weekend is Uncommon Core, which our best faculty are brought to the forefront to teach classes on Saturday and Friday afternoons. There's really a wonderful experience. But also I want you to come back to see how strong your university is. As Bill mentioned, we have fared an economic downturn much stronger than many of our peer institutions. A lot to do because of your generosity and also the wise management of this institution, and also because this institution likes a good challenge, and we are not put aside by some of the difficulties that we are facing. We are continuing to expand the faculty. Our faculty is the same size as it's been since 1974, if you can imagine that. We are expanding the faculty. We are keeping all of our commitments to student aid, both to the graduate students and to the undergraduates. Your institution is in great shape, and I want you to come back and see it and experience it. So thank you for coming. Thank you for all that you do for Chicago. The Alumni Board of Governors that we work closely with have a great saying, and that is, go, give, help, and advocate. That is what they're asking of all alumni, parents, and students. So please do all of the above, and thank you. Thanks for coming.